Good evening. Welcome to the Wyndham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. It's Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. We're in the Jordan Small Middle School gym and it's 6:30 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Jessica Bridges.
Here.
Jenny Butler.
Here.
Judy Carroll.
Here.
Caitlin Downs.
Here.
Mark Scavone.
Here.
Shar Jewell. Joe Kellner.
Here.
Grace Levitt.
Here.
Christina Small.
Here.
Jolene Bailey.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No, there aren't any adjustments tonight.
Okay, next item is public input. Seeing as no one wishes to speak, we will move on to superintendent's report.
Perfect. So first of all, to the RSU14 School Board, happy Bosses Day. I just learned that from somebody here at the table. So thank you for all of your leadership in leading RSU14, and not only through good times and difficult times, and just thank you for stepping up and volunteering to support all of our kids. With this being said, I just want to say thank you to Jenny Butler. Jenny, I think this is your last meeting on the RSU14 board, and just want to thank you for your service and your time, not only here on the board, but also many years at Wyndham High School teaching in the math department. Have done an outstanding job in both and serving the kids and the adults that work in RSU14. So thank you for that. Also, a couple other quick announcement things. So I know students always wonder what happens on workshop days while they're at home and staff are at school. We had an absolutely outstanding workshop day last Friday where combination of things happened, and at the board I had a chance to share in the folders all the different agendas and all the different professional development opportunities that are taking place that day. So in addition to all the different trainings that took place, there was some valuable time spent on curriculum, looking at data, also for some of our more specialty programs and special education, having the opportunity to work with Dr. Beckford and looking at the policies, procedures, and systems that they put in place within the programs. Very, very productive day, and some great feedback in the day. In addition, our district had the opportunity to participate in the Greater Sebago Education Alliance Professional Development Day for some of those more singleton, and singleton being alternative education. I had a chance to connect with Rich Meserve this afternoon, and instead of just having a few people for alternative education, we had close to 40 or 50 individuals who work in alternative education across all of our 11 districts that are part of this membership. Just some great productive time. Similarly, with our art teachers getting together, physical education, health teachers, and all across the Greater Sebago Alliance, we had 540 participants across all the different districts. Just a super, super productive day. Other things to celebrate this month. This is National School Administrators Month, and we have some outstanding school administrators that work in our district, and just a thank you to them for the work that they do day in, day out to support the staff and students for all of our different buildings. Lastly, I want to end with, and I know I had sent something out to the board for construction committee. I'm going to have the opportunity to serve on a committee that's been put together by the governor for looking at school construction projects. And just want to remind the public, because we have a very visible school construction project that's happening right now, and I've already heard many comments from people about they drive by and every day something seems a little bit different. Currently, there are, in this funding cycle, which started 17-18 and will go through 29, 9 school projects will be approved of the 72, and that's all that's going to move forward. In this next round of rating, which is currently going place, there's 100 different schools where applications have been submitted. And right now, given the current cost of schools, it looks like maybe another 8 or 9 will be approved, which means 92 won't be approved where school districts will be putting forward. It is a large issue in our state, and I think it's just important for our communities of Wyndham and Raymond to just remember how fortunate we are to have received approval for our project. and also approval for one of the largest construction projects in Maine history for a school. And we're so fortunate to be able to have that. And now that conversations are starting to happen about this next funding cycle, looking at statewide, how do we go ahead and start putting some more money into school construction in order to meet the needs. And I know that there's several bond issues that are out with local schools around us. I wish them the best of luck as they move forward with looking to get those passed. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Next item is board roundtable. Does anybody wish to speak? Go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate the Language Honor Society induction that happened last night, to all the French, Latin, and Spanish honors inductees. Good luck and congratulations. Tomorrow the sophomores are doing the NWAs, so good luck to them, and the juniors who are doing the PSATs. Seniors will be going off to their senior breakfast, and I'm super excited to look over all the new prom stuff, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what the new themes are picking at. And on October 31st, so Halloween, we're doing a Read to Me campaign. I think that's what it's called. And it's basically where the high schoolers go over to the elementary school and we read to them. I'm super excited to be a part of that and get to see all the elementary schoolers.
Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Marge.
Okay, I have a few things. First one is I would like to bring up, if the board is in agreement with me, that JICH is reviewed again by the policy committee. I know we didn't approve it that long ago, but I think there are some things in there. I've had a little bit of a reality check. I don't want to get into too much detail here. But I think the rest of the board understands where I'm coming from. And if it's a consensus of the board, I would like the policy committee to take a look at this, another look at this again. So that's my first thing.
Can I just comment? We did look at this one in March, I think is the timeline. Does that sound right to you? Anyway, I think it's March, so we wouldn't typically look at something. We have done that in the past, but certainly if you wanted to send some concerns to the committee, we're going to meet on Monday, this coming Monday. And
I can be a little more, do you want me, I can be a little more specific on where I'm coming from.
I don't, unless anyone else is interested, I think just generally speaking as a board, if the team wants us to look at the policy, we can certainly address it. We have space in our meeting for us to take a look at what's next, and so I'm okay with having it for Monday unless anyone else wants to hear more detail.
Okay, next.
Yeah, you have something else?
Yes, I have one. Okay, there is nothing on the, and we haven't gotten into it yet, but I wanted to bring this up now. There is nothing on the facility committee, which will be coming up. But what I wanted to bring up to the board is a lot of times when we do a report out on our committees, it's basically this is what's happening, et cetera. But what I'd like to propose to the board, at least for the facility committee, because that's the one I'm chair of, is that if there are things around facilities that any board member feels they would like to know more about, hear more about, whatever, I think it would be great if you brought it up at round table or whenever, send something to me, Christina or Chris, and we could make sure that, it's something that we look at from a standpoint and bring it back and report out at a board meeting so that the whole board hears it. Because I know there might be other things that are around facilities that somebody might have a thought on or a question and not feel that it's appropriate to bring it up when we're doing a report out on specific things. So there was that. I only have one more, I promise. Okay, we did meet vocational school. We did have our first meeting. My notes are all over the place, so excuse me for that one. It was a great meeting. It was for our course for PATH, which is Portland Arts Technology High School, and the other one was for WRVC, which is Westbrook Regional Vocational Center. So with PATH, we had there is their enrollment as of right now is 435 students. They have a 494 student capacity in the school. They gave us a breakdown of what they have there. Wyndham presently this year has 20 students. I don't have the breakdown of what students are in what program. They had their 179 grads in 24. 551 college credits were given to them. They had 30 third-party certifications. There were 353. Out of post-grad plans, 121 went to were going to college acceptably. 52 went into the workforce, 6 went into the military, and 80 students had Maine community within the Maine community college system. It's really quite interesting when you sit through those meetings. And if anybody ever wants to come to sit through one, I know some people have, just let me know and I can give you the schedule and what time they're at. They usually have them collectively. One runs right after the other on the same morning. So that one is it for PADS, and Westbrook right now has a total of 304 students registered. I have asked Westbrook to please send me a breakdown, the same breakdown that I received from PADS, but they did ask me to please not haunt them for minutes, which I usually do. I try to get them before, and I promised them I would not. So I can guarantee you when I get the minutes, I will forward them to everybody, which will be a lot more in depth than what I have. What they have started a house at Westbrook. Westbrook has, because they have carpentry, all different levels of it. They have a house, and I'm not sure where this is, but it's 13 West Pleasant Street, Westbrook. So they said it's moving right along, which is great because they like to get, before the winter sets in, they like to get the foundation in, like any house, you know. So that's where the electrical. So a lot of their students get to work on this house, and then afterwards it's they sell it. The addition, and I think I spoke to you about this last year. The additional fire building that they were going to put on their property, which was supposed to also be available to like the fire department or whatever, and it's kind of like, I think it's one of those house, you know, like burn house down, whatever is practice. That's still waiting for approval. Because I guess at some point in time there was a request from somewhere that maybe they didn't want it on school property, so that is holding things up just a little bit, because of course the whole idea of the school doing it was for students, because they only have like morning session or an afternoon for them to be able to walk out the door and be able to go to it without getting into a vehicle and driving there. So that is still on hold. And so I did request from them a count of the RSU 14 students, which I do not have yet. I don't know when I will get it, but when I do, I will forward it to you. But it was a lot of conversation. I wrote things all over the place. But I can also forward you everything I get. And then you can just ask questions. Did I forget something, Chris, that I should have brought up?
No, just a reminder for the board and for the public that our primary sending spot is Westbrook. So if there's a program that's offered at Westbrook, that's where students go, not Portland. So always Westbrook numbers are higher than where Portland would be, and I think in Westbrook we're typically in the 40 to 50 range. So look at that final number and get that up to the board.
Okay, I'm done.
Go ahead, Trace. Just very briefly, the Maine School Board Association Delegate Assembly is this Saturday, and so I will be attending that on Zoom. And just along with the resolutions that were discussed previously, there's a slight increase proposed to the budget and just a couple of proposed amendments to constitution bylaws. And if anybody wants to see that, I don't see it as anything controversial, but I'm glad to share that if people want it. Just a reminder of it. Thanks.
I have two things. Yes, this is my last official big board meeting, but we have an adult ed advisory committee meeting tomorrow, And once I get the notes for that I will be attending. Once I get the notes for that, I will forward that to the board. Also next week is a curriculum meeting that we'll hear more about, and I'll be attending that. The second part, yes, thank you, Mr. Howell, for your gratitude. And I did prepare a little something. It won't take me too long, but it has been an honor to serve this community and school district for more than 37 years. I was thrilled to start teaching math at Wyndham High School in 1987 when there were only 450 students in grades 10 through 12. I had just taught for 3 years at a high school in Bloomington, Indiana, where there were 4 times as many students. Small school was wonderful. We were in Bloomington, Indiana because I had put my husband through graduate school, and I laugh and say that those are my 3 years in exile. So we were very grateful to come back to Maine where he had gotten a job. So I taught at Wyndham High School for 27 years before I retired from teaching full-time in 2014. Although I had planned on teaching a few more years because I wasn't at retirement age. I retired early because I needed to care for my mother who'd had a stroke, and she was living with us since 2000. Fortunately, I was able to pick up a part-time teaching position at USM and have been doing that now. This is my 10th year. I ran unopposed for the school board in 2019 for a 2-year unexpired term, and none of us ever expected to have to deal with a pandemic starting in the spring of 2020. We moved my mother to an assisted living facility in August of 2020, in the middle of a pandemic. It made sense that she would be closer to where I grew up and where one of my brothers lived. I still take care of her financial needs, and it takes an hour for me to get there and each way, so it's a lot of time. I'm grateful that she still knows both my brothers and me, and we don't know how long that will continue, but we certainly hope that we are going to be able to do a big 90th birthday celebration come spring. When I ran for re-election in 2021 for a full 3-year term, it was definitely contentious because of COVID. But I felt the students and the staff deserved supportive school members who understood verified science and how best to support students and staff. I'm grateful our community believed that too. At the end of 2021, my husband and I bought what had been my aunt and uncle's camp, which happens to be next to my grandparents' camp, and I've been going out there my whole life. It hadn't been part of our financial plan to do that, so we started an LLC, and I've been running a business now for 3 years. So I'm busier than I ever have been, even though I'm officially retired. Although this is my last official board meeting, I will still advocate for all students, especially those who are marginalized and may not have a supportive home environment. Students need to feel safe, not be hungry, and have good relationships with our fabulous staff before they can do their best academically. I never would have joined the school board if I did not have complete faith in our central office staff and administration, especially you, Mr. Howell, our superintendent. Thank you for the privilege of being able to serve our community.
Thank you, Jenny. Anyone else? Okay, so I just wanted to follow up on a question that came up, I forgot how many meetings ago, I think it was yours, Jody, about when we were gonna see the assessment data. So at the time of the question, we were still in the iReady diagnostic window. That since has closed, and so we have spring and fall iReady data, as well as spring and fall NWEA data now. And our workshop with Christine Hessler is actually scheduled at our next meeting, which will be November 6th, so we'll get a chance to look at all of that with her. So between now and then, if there's any other data that somebody specifically wants, if you could let me know, I can politely ask if she could include that. That way we can really get the best picture of what we're looking for. So I just apologize for not getting back to you sooner on that, but we will see that shortly. That said, we'll move on to committee reports. As finance?
So our next meeting is November 6th at 5:30, and I'm sure we'll have all kinds of fun talking about all the upcoming expenditures and how we're gonna manage the budget in the upcoming years.
Thank you. And facilities has not met. Okay, policy? No, we haven't met. We're gonna meet on Monday, the 21st. We're gonna work on dress code, bomb threats, AI acceptable use, and we'll wrap up that last homeschooling policy we talked about. And we have a request from tonight, and then, yeah, we'll see how much time. That's more than the time that we'll have. So we'll get back with you in our next meeting, and hopefully have a couple for you to take a look at. We've got a few on the agenda that are new tonight as well. Curriculum?
So we haven't met, we will meet next Wednesday at 4:30 in the superintendent's conference room.
Thank you. All right, moving on to report of the secretary. May I have a motion, please? From anyone?
I move to approve the minutes of the October 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Board discussion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next motion, please.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Board discussion.
Just one point if I could. I was absent, I'll be abstaining. I just wonder when we have dissent on votes, if we should record the yeas and nays, if you will, just for historical purposes. I don't know what the old practice has been, but that could be helpful in the future.
I have brought that possibility up before at leadership. I've noticed some other boards do list, so we can talk about that tomorrow. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Next item, policies. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the second revised reading of IHBG homeschooling.
Second.
Public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Next policy, please.
I move to approve the second revised reading IHBGA, homeschooling participation in school programs.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy.
I move to approve the second revised reading of JRA, student education records and information.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy, please.
I move to approve the second revised reading IRAR, student education records and information.
Second.
Public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy, please.
I move to approve the first revised reading JHB truancy.
Second.
Public comment? Board discussion? So I'll just go through, these next two policies have a bit of background, so just go through it and hopefully you'll just bear with me for records. So the truancy policy has been on our list for, well, as long as I've been on the policy team, so a good while here. So we're glad to take a look at it, and essentially what we were looking to do is update it for statute and make sure that we had administrator feedback and understood exactly how this fit into the district's wide approach to improve the attendance of our students, as it's one of the pillar pieces to student success. So we're happy to present this for our first reading tonight. This policy is not required, but is recommended by Drummond-Woodson and is governed by 20 MRSA subsection 5001A, which is attendance and compulsory attendance. Notably, the statute under 5000A reads, persons 6 years of age or older and under 17 years of age shall attend public day school during the time it is in regular session. The revised sample that we used as a committee for this first reading for you was from Drummond-Woodson from September 2023. That includes changes that were made to the Child and Family Services and Child Protection Act that clarified that truancy by a child who is at least 5 years of age and under 6 who is voluntarily enrolled in school must be reported to DHHS as neglect by a person responsible for that child. What remains the same is truancy is defined if a student has completed grade 6 and has the equivalent of 10 days of unexcused absences or 7 consecutive school days of unexcused during the school year. New, in the policy, the definition of a truant student is if the student is at least 6 years old and has not completed grade 6, has an equivalent of 7 full days of unexcused absences or 5 consecutive school days during a school year, and the policy used to read at least 7 years old. So just a 1 year change there, from 7 years old down to 6 years old. New also is the student is defined as truant when they are 5 years of age and has been voluntarily enrolled in school, has not completed grade 6, and has an equivalent of 7 full days of unexcused absences or 5 consecutive school days of unexcused absences during the school year. And there's a definition of truancy being considered child abuse and neglect under Maine law and is reportable to DHHS when the truancy is the result of neglect by a person responsible by the law. The attendance coordinator roles have been removed from the policy as they were not a complete list, and this is a procedural aspect to truancy that is captured in Section 3. Section 3 is called truancy procedure. Note that this Section 3 notes that the superintendent within 5 school days of the last unexcused absence will be notified by the principal. There is also no language under this procedure that notes specifically the plan should also address future absences of the student, timeline for particular activities, and periodic reports to the superintendent on compliance. Struck language regarding the superintendent and administration's plan for intervention. This has been struck and replaced with statute language that notes that the procedure the superintendent will take if the intervention does not correct the truancy. So there used to be some procedural language in there that's just been shortened to that simple statement. Legal references have been updated to include subsection 3272 that outlines excusable absences, and 22 MRSA subsection 4002 that reflects definitions of abuse or neglect as defined by the Child and Family Services and Child Protection Act, Chapter 1071. No other changes are substantive in nature, but welcome feedback or questions, and certainly I'm sure Mr. Howell can answer any questions around the procedures for truancy in the district.
Questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next policy, please.
I move to approve the first revised reading of JICDA student code conduct.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment or discussion? So we're bringing you the JICDA Student Code of Conduct. We had promised this as, I guess, a culmination of the work that we had done on the student-based policies this season and at the end of our last school year. And essentially, we reviewed this last in 2013. This is a required policy. This policy outlines the board's commitment to maintaining a school environment which allows students to receive and staff to deliver quality education without disruption. The Code of Conduct reviews standards for ethical and responsible behavior, where the code applies, general behavior expectations and discipline policies, removal of students, referral to law enforcement, and distribution of the document. Note that there are multiple legal references crossed, including the standards for ethical and responsible behavior in Maine schools and communities, a report from the commissioner. Policy cross-references are extensive, as each of the cross policies apply to the conduct of students. We have just completed a review and adopted 19 of the 22 policies crossed here in the last 2 school years, with 2 of the remaining policies, including JKF, disciplinary removal of students with disabilities, and EBCC, bomb threats, on our next agenda. So essentially, we would have reviewed 21 out of the 22 at the end of last year and through this year. So we feel we've done a really nice job of reviewing all of the J policies related. And that was a request by the administration starting 2 years ago. Lastly, you'll note that the procedural content at the bottom of the policy has been struck as it's no longer up to date. It was a chart format, and the content is contained in each of the individual cross policies or reflected in internal procedures for intervention and discipline in the district. Thank you, Jody. Any questions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next item, executive session. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve going into an executive session to discuss administrator contract pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056D.
I would like to amend that motion to combine the executive session with the adjournment, because we do not come out of executive session and vote. So I would like to change the motion to, I move to approve going into executive session to discuss administrative contracts pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 4056D and not return to the regular meeting.
Second, the amended.
So now we get to vote on the amendment. All those in favor? Now, do you have to move the motion as amended? Yes. Or do we vote on the motion as amended?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on.
All those in favor of the motion as amended? Thank you. We are in executive session.
I'm sorry.
Second.